So good afternoon. It's Rebecca Happy here again with the Woo Spiritual Summit Speaker Spotlight. We have another great guest today who's going to be one of our speakers on April 22nd. Aakrist. He's a conscious coach. He's a breath coach who works with conscious entrepreneurs and high performing athletes. Lives here in the city of Ottawa. Great new person to meet, and thanks for joining us, and welcome.
Thank you for having me. It's a pleasure to be here.
So I'm pretty curious. I was really curious when I met you, just sort of really quickly, and followed you a little bit now on social media about the work you're doing and how you told me a little bit about your journey and how you arrived there. But I would love for you to share that here today, sort of coming, as your adolescent years leading you into sort of your own spiritual journey, and athleticism, and to being a breath coach.
Yeah, I mean, it all started when I took my first breath the day before the 7th month of the year, 1997, 7:07 a.m.
Oh, 1997.
I was born in Nepal, and I moved to Canada when I was 7. So completed my 7 years of development and then completely displaced to another country, arguably the most gray city in the world, Ottawa. And, I was really confused. I never really fit in anywhere. Language was a challenge to learn English and acclimate to the culture. And I went to a Catholic high school. And so I was really confused. Everybody in the morning would be doing the cross, and I'm just looking around like, do I go home? All I see is like Hindu, Buddhist, like you see the Om right there. So that's all I see at home. And then when I go to school, it's like the cross. So I was always asking the question, what is the meaning behind life and just like the mystery of life. And so my dad recommended I go to a Vipassana retreat, which is a 10-day silent retreat.
What's it called? A Vipassana?
Vipassana.
Oh, Vipassana. Okay.
So no food or no meat. They feed you, they house you, no speaking, no writing, no reading, no talking, no nothing. They teach you the technique, they house you, and it's completely free. So 10 days of silence. I went to that.
How old were you?
Right out of high school, so 17, 18. I was 18.
Okay, cool.
That was the first time I really had a mystical experience that couldn't be explained by science, right? So I left my body. And I mean, perhaps science could explain it. There's lots of things that are not in the public sphere, like ESP, extrasensory perception, but I left my body. My body felt simultaneously heavy and light at the same time, and I became the room. So, and in Vipassana, all they do is they start you with simply breath awareness. And as the awareness becomes more refined, and mind you, we're meditating at least 3 hours a day, every single day for an hour each. So it's a lot of time spent in silence. So simply with the breath awareness, I was able to reach this state of altered consciousness. And so coming out of that.
So when you were at this retreat, nobody was allowed to speak, but the teacher was speaking?
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Okay.
And we're allowed to speak, but on the very last day, only the last day. So coming out of that experience, I was like, okay, there's something more to life. And so I really just started diving into yoga, Tai Chi, meditation more. And I had my own health challenges at the time. So I was like desperately seeking because doctors never had answers. So I was like, okay, what can I do to support my own healing? And I wasn't really like diving all the way in until I had this soccer injury. And I had been an athlete all my life, and I hurt my knee 5 times, the same knee, and I finally had to get surgery.
Oh.
So in that time, I was like, how can I accelerate my healing? And once again, the doctors didn't have answers for me. They would just say physio, rest, that's it. To the point where after my surgery, I went to my checkup with my surgeon. And he's like, do you have any questions for me? I was like, no, nothing comes up. So he's about to leave the door. And I was like, oh, I have a question. So he's like standing up. Where am I? Okay. I'm like, hey, I have a question. He looks back and I ask him, is there anything I can do to, like, diet-wise to accelerate my healing? He looks at me, says, nope, walks away. So
Well,
that's all I get. Just no response. So I was like, okay, I know there's something more. So that's when I really started to dive deeper into yoga, Tai Chi, meditation, and the breath. I found the breath to be the most powerful mechanism in our biology to create radical shifts. So I had tried a bunch of modalities, Wim Hof, holotropic, conscious connected, a lot of them. And coming back full circle now, what I teach is oxygen advantage. So
oxygen advantage?
I don't necessarily teach breath work. I am a breath coach. So I teach functional breathing, how we're breathing right now when we're sleeping, walking, talking, driving, cooking, when we're not thinking about breathing. Because this is the most important form of breath work we can participate in. Why? It's because 99% of the breaths we take in our lives are unconscious. So yes, we can take a deep breath throughout our days to calm down. And that's not the breath that dictates our moment to moment oxygenation, happiness, anxiety, stress levels, and even fulfillment in life. So I teach to reprogram how we're breathing when we're not thinking about it, so that every breath we take oxygenates us to a higher degree. And
that's really exciting.
Fuses
And
more
so did
lives.
that like speed up your healing?
Yes,
That's what brought you to doing that today.
Yeah. And as athletes, like being an athlete immersed in this culture of being an athlete, working hard, banging your head against the wall, overworking, it's glorified to overwork and break down the body. And nobody had taught me how to run properly, walk properly, or breathe properly. So layering on all these dysfunctions biomechanically and with my breath, it was only a matter of time before I broke down. And if someone had taught me how to breathe properly, or walk properly, run properly, and it's not their fault because they're not taught either. If I had the opportunity to learn, I believe I would have been playing a lot longer, perhaps at a higher level, and not have had to suffer injury and sit on the sidelines waiting desperately to get back on the field.
So when you're working, your choice to work with athletes today, do you also do like young athletes as so that they can get trained younger, or it's mostly older people that are coming to you to learn this way of breathing again?
Mostly older athletes. Yeah.
Mm-hmm. And do you think that it's do you see it ever being offered to like kids starting out?
I think it's definitely on the way there, and that's my mission as well, is to create more of this awareness,
Mm-hmm.
even in the young. So to start them early, because once we know how to breathe and once we have the right material, it's very easy to keep the pattern going. However, the hardest thing to do is really to unlearn, right? So if we're never taught, then we learn the wrong things and more dysfunction layers on top and top of each other. Then it takes even more work to undo that dysfunction if then we were just to create a functional pattern in the first place.
So how long did it take you to sort of unlearn and be able to do this in an unconscious manner that you're breathing in the way that works the best?
It's still a process. I'm still on the journey, and it's a never-ending journey. I've been practicing breathwork modalities for about 8 years now. However, this specific breath modality, oxygen advantage, I've been practicing for just about 2 years. So 2 years into the journey, I've come a long way from where I was, and I still have a long way to go. So the answer is I don't have an answer.
So this oxygen advantage, is this something that you've sort of created yourself from mixing everything, or this was actually a method that somebody mentored you on?
Yeah, this is a method. This is a system that already exists. Yeah.
Okay, that you found to be the most effective.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Okay.
And this is the only modality which I'm aware of that specifically and directly applies to athletes. A lot of the modalities around breathwork are typically around spiritual development,
Yeah.
anxiety, and performance.
Hmm.
However, Oxygen Advantage specifically works with athletes, and we're able to simulate high altitude training with the breath, which I'm not sure if you're familiar with that, but the secret weapon for a lot of athletes is to go up into the mountains where there's less oxygen and to train there. And it teaches the body to do more with less. So that when
That
they,
might have been the video that I sent my kids.
yeah. So when we do come back down to sea level, we're basically superhuman. It's like, how are you still going? It's because I've trained my body to do more with less.
Interesting. And so I know that you're also working with conscious entrepreneurs. So why would they want to learn how to do this? I fully understand for high performance athletes, but why would a conscious entrepreneur be attracted to learn this methodology in their own journey?
Yeah, as an entrepreneur myself, it's at the early stages you got to do everything. You got to do the media, the website, the service, the promo, and so we can tend to burn out.
Mm-hmm.
And even when we get to a level where we have people to delegate that to, the burnout factor is really important because we're always looking to refine. So when we get to a level where we're really high performers, then we're always looking for that edge, that little marginal improvement that can take us to the next level and sustain the pace that we're going at. So it's really important because, well, when we improve more oxygenation, when we have more resources in the body, oxygen, then we have more resources to create. So just that fact alone creates so many more opportunities for us as entrepreneurs and high performers to create the world that we want to create.
That's awesome. So you're going to be speaking on April 22nd as one of our featured speakers at the Spiritual Summit. What's the subject matter that you're going to be addressing for anybody who wants to come and hear you? Do you have a title?
I don't.
No.
I don't. The impeccable breath. The impeccable breath. And
impactful breath?
Impeccable.
Impeccable. Okay. Yes. Okay, the impeccable breath. And in your workshop, because you're also giving a workshop, a 30-minute workshop that day that people can buy tickets to, and maybe they need to know how to get that. But what's your workshop going to be?
It's going to be the impeccable breath. So we're going to do specific practices to reprogram the biochemistry and the breath so that we're breathing steadier, lighter, and improving our oxygenation capacity. So it's going to be like no breathwork class you've ever experienced. It's not going to be intense, but it will be challenging. And there's a distinction that needs to be made. So it's not necessarily an intense practice, but it is a challenging practice because we work with the biochemistry, work with carbon dioxide, nitric oxide, and I won't go into the biochemistry here, but by using that as leverage, we're able to create much more rapid changes in our brain and our body. And because it's deliberate, we're specifically targeting reprogramming the breath itself.
And so if I were to come to your workshop, when I leave, will I be able to take what you've given and then start a practice, or do I have to come back to you more often?
Nope. You'll have what you need to sustain the practice. Yeah.
Very cool. Okay. So thanks for joining us today. That's really great information. And I'm excited about what you do. Definitely, I know a lot of entrepreneurs, and I'm very curious I would be curious to hear from them in terms of how that's impacted that extra edge they might have for their creativity and their focus as they're, developing and growing their businesses. I find that intriguing. And so thanks for joining us today. And if people want to get in touch with you or if you want to come and hear him speak, get your ticket. at the woospiritualsummit.com. And if you wanted to participate in Aakrist's Impeccable Breath workshop, what should they do? How do they contact you?
They can contact me on Instagram. It is Aakrist88, so 2 A's, Aakrist88. Or you can reach out to my email, aakristdongol@gmail.com.
So like this one, Instagram?
Yep.
Did I get that right? Okay, thanks. Nice meeting you again, and have a great rest of your day. Be sure to get your